You've eaten chicken, you've eaten beef, fish, lamb, pork, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why not lion? Why not wolf? Why not tiger? These animals are everywhere in the wild. They're large, they're muscular, they're full of protein, and yet across thousands of years of human history, across hundreds of cultures, across every continent on Earth, we don't eat them. Not really, not consistently, not as food. We hunt them, we fear them, we worship them, we put them in zoos and on flags and on the covers of National Geographic, but we don't put them on a plate. And the more you dig into why, the more you realize this isn't just a food preference. It's a window into something ancient, something written into your body at a level deeper than culture, deeper than religion, deeper even than conscious thought. This is a story of why humans never became predator eaters, and why that decision, made long before civilization existed, might have shaped everything you are.
Let's start with something uncomfortable. Imagine you're starving. True ancient starvation, not I skipped lunch hungry, the real kind, the kind where your body starts consuming itself. A lion dies nearby, 200 kilograms of pure muscle right in front of you. Would you eat it? Your instinct says yes, survival says yes, but something else, something older says no. And here's what's wild. That no didn't start in your brain. It started in your ancestors' bodies hundreds of thousands of years ago during the long, brutal experiment of early human survival. Early humans weren't always at the top of the food chain. For most of prehistory, we were prey. We were hunted. We were eaten. We were afraid. And the animals that hunted us, the wolves, the big cats, the hyenas, they weren't just enemies. They were warnings. So when modern humans look at predator meat and feel a deep instinctive wrong, that's not irrational. That's millions of years of information compressed into a feeling. But the story goes even deeper than instinct.
Chapter 1. The Poison Problem. Here's the first reason humans don't eat apex predators, and it's biology, not culture. Everything an animal eats gets stored in its body. Plants absorb toxins from the soil, small animals eat the plants, medium animals eat the small animals, and predators eat everything. Scientists call this bioaccumulation. Every step up the food chain, toxins, mercury, lead, industrial pollutants, natural poisons multiply. A small fish might have 1 unit of mercury in its body. The bigger fish that eats 100 small fish, 100 units. The shark that eats dozens of those big fish, thousands. Now imagine eating the apex predator at the top of the chain every day. You're not eating an animal, you're eating a concentrated library of every toxin that entered the food chain below it. Your body can't process that efficiently, and over time, it accumulates in you too. This is actually why pregnant women are told not to eat too much tuna. Tuna is a predator, and predators carry poison, not because they're dangerous, but because of math.
Chapter 2. The Disease Problem. Predators don't just carry toxins, they carry pathogens. Carnivores eat raw flesh. That raw flesh carries parasites, viruses, bacteria. Over millions of years, predators developed immune systems adapted to this lifestyle. You didn't. When ancient humans tried to eat large carnivores, they got sick, not metaphorically, clinically dangerously sick. One of the most well-documented examples is trichinella, a parasite found heavily in carnivorous and omnivorous animals like bears and wild boars. Eat their undercooked muscle tissue, and the larvae migrate into your muscle tissue. Bears have been eaten by some indigenous cultures throughout history, but always with extreme care, deep cooking, and specific rituals, because they knew, even without science, that the meat was risky. The cultures that didn't learn that lesson didn't survive long enough to pass it down. Chapter 3. The Economics Problem. Set aside the biology for a moment. Let's talk about pure, cold numbers. Why do we farm cows and not cheetahs? A cow converts plant matter into meat with roughly 10 to 15% efficiency. That's already considered poor. But a lion, it needs to eat 15 to 20 kilograms of meat per day just to maintain its body weight. To produce 1 kilogram of lion meat, you need to raise dozens of prey animals first just to feed the lion. That's not farming. That's financial suicide. Your ancestors didn't have spreadsheets, but they had consequences. And the consequence of trying to rely on apex predators as a food source was starvation. Herbivores and omnivores, cows, pigs, chickens, are efficient converters of cheap, abundant plant energy into edible protein. Predators are the opposite. Natural selection didn't just shape which animals we could eat, it shaped which ones it made sense to. Chapter 4. The taste and texture problem. Even if you got past the toxins, the pathogens, and the economics, there's still the meat itself. Predators move differently than prey animals. Prey animals, like cows and deer, spend their lives grazing, walking slowly, running in bursts. Their muscle fibers are built for brief, explosive effort and long periods of low exertion. That produces tender, marbled, palatable meat. Predators are always moving, always alert, always exerting. Their muscles are dense, lean, fibrous, and full of myoglobin, the same compound that gives well-used muscle its deep color and strong, gamey flavor. The few people in history who have eaten predator meat, lion, wolf, coyote, describe it as intensely gamey, tough, almost repulsive. Not because it's spoiled, but because predator muscle fiber is simply built different. Your taste buds didn't develop in a vacuum. They were trained over generations to find palatable the things that were safe and efficient to eat. Predator meat fails every test your biology evolved to run.
Now, here's the twist. You think you don't eat predators, but you do. Every time you eat a salmon, you're eating a predator. Salmon eats smaller fish, crustaceans, insects. Every time you eat a tuna steak, predator. Shrimp, they're predators. Squid, absolutely predators. Catfish, bass, trout, all predators. The reason we're comfortable with these is that they're aquatic, small or medium-sized, and they exist lower on the toxin chain than a land apex predator. But the boundary isn't predator versus non-predator. The real boundary is how high up the chain and how much risk does a meat carry. And here's the deeper realization. The ancient taboos in indigenous cultures, in religious texts, in folklore against eating lions and wolves and tigers, they weren't arbitrary. They were science, encoded as superstition. When a culture said, "The lion is sacred, do not eat it," they were preserving the biological wisdom that eating the lion makes you sick. The religion protected the knowledge that the biology had discovered. Culture and biology aren't opposites. Sometimes culture is biology wearing a different mask. So why don't humans eat predator meat? Because we tried, and our bodies, our diseases, our economics, and our taste buds all said, not worth it. Because the food chain is a ladder, and the higher you climb, the more concentrated the danger becomes. Because your ancestors learned, often the hard way, which animals were efficient to rely on, and which ones cost more than they gave. And because the disgust you feel looking at a raw lion haunch isn't weakness, it's information. Ancient, tested, and accurate. You're not a picky eater, you're an animal that survived, and there's a quiet power in that, in realizing that the most mundane parts of your daily life, what you put on your plate, carry the weight of 100,000 years of trial and error. You didn't just inherit a culture, you inherited a conclusion. What other food mysteries do you want us to dig into? Drop it in the comments. Your question might become the next episode. And if this video changed the way you think about what's on your plate, share it with someone who still thinks food is simple. It never was.